It's time to break up big tech. According to the US presidential hopeful, Senator Elizabeth Warren, she wants to take a saw to Amazon, Google and Facebook. It's all part of the bid to promote competition in the sector, she says. Now, of course, the senator is campaigning like a trustbuster of yesteryear. When we think of Amazon, with its vast holdings across many industries, its tentacles remind you of images such as those of the early 1900s. Now, back then, the idea was that of an octopus, and it was the perfect metaphor for monopolies of oil and railroad companies and how they extended their reach, strong-arming their way through the US. And the analogy of the octopus, you can see Capitol Hill over there, you can see Wall Street over there. The analogy of the octopus, and the company, by the way, of course, they talk about is Standard Oil, which was broken up into Esso, as we now know today. Now, it works just as well today, the analogy. Look at Amazon. There's Amazon Web Services and the Amazon.com, all the tentacles going deep into the economy. With groceries at Whole Foods and shoes at Zappos, almost any book you can think of is Audible or a Kindle. Amazon is now, of course, in the world. It's vast and it's strong, and Elizabeth Warren wants to break it up piece by piece. MG Lee is in New York and joins me now. The idea of what... I mean, it's not a new idea, but she's backing herself. This is turning into one of her touchstone policies.
Absolutely. And Richard, I'm actually just returning from Harlem, where Elizabeth Warren had a campaign event, and we got some time to talk to her about this new proposal to break up the big tech companies like Amazon, like Google, like Facebook. So let's actually listen to what she had to say. She was talking about this in the context of Amazon's failed bid to start a new headquarters in Long Island City, and then we can talk on the other side.
Let me make clear. I cheered when New York City said, we're pushing back just a little bit on everything that Amazon is asking for. Because here's the problem. These giant tech companies have so much power, so much economic power and so much political power that they go all around the country saying, bribe me to come be where you are. And it's like a giant Hunger Games of some kind. What I believe is that to have more competition in the marketplace and to level the playing field a little bit for small businesses and entrepreneurs and startups, what we've got to do is take those platforms, you know how you order on Amazon or you do a search on Google, and break them off from the additional businesses that they're running. And those additional businesses are where they're getting a comparative advantage on their information because of the information they get from their platforms. The way to think about this right now is Amazon is like the umpire in the baseball game. It runs the marketplace. And it also has a lot of teams on the field because it's actually competing with the other businesses on that platform and giving special advantage, putting them on page 1 and somebody they don't like back on page 6. So my notion is you can be an umpire or you can own a team, but you can't do both at the same time. And that's how we should break up Amazon. It's how we should break up Google. Customers, folks like you and me, we can still do our searches. We can still do what we want to do. But we want to break these up and get more competition.
Would you have been okay with it being in Boston, the second headquarters?
So what I'm not okay with is the fact that cities are put into this competition against each other and that they're asked to give up tax revenues to build special goodies. Because, you know, here's the deal. A small business that's just getting started, no city is saying to them, hey, we're going to give you the same deal that Amazon's getting. You're going to get a big lop off your taxes, or we're going to hand out some special goodies to you. Every time the giant goes around the country and says, give me something special, they help increase the concentration of the American economy. That's bad for our economy, it's bad for workers, it's bad for competition, it's bad for small businesses, and ultimately it's bad for our democracy. Just over the past few years, a handful of the top giants have already gotten $10 billion in special breaks from towns, counties, and states. You know, that's a special break that gives them a leg up in competition that's just not there for small businesses, and that's not right.
MJ, is this going to be a central plank of the senator's manifesto, if you like? Is she going to run hard on this because it's perceived to be popular?
Oh, absolutely. And when you think about Elizabeth Warren and sort of what her campaign stands for so far, this goes to the root of it, right? She is running on getting money out of politics, weakening special interests and wealthy interests in politics. And this is really just the sort of core of her message. And if you think back to what her actually first policy proposal of the campaign was, it was to tax the wealthy, the wealthiest Americans. And she said that other proposals that she puts out will actually be paid for by those taxes. So all of these policy proposals come together. And I think what is going to be really fascinating to watch is how her competitors, the other Democratic candidates, feel like they have to respond to this, right? Now that Elizabeth Warren has put out this proposal, you can be sure that the other Democratic candidates in the field are also going to be asked about this and asked, do you support this or do you have another or better idea to deal with this?
She has put the issue into play. Good to see you. Thank you, MJ. Thank you for getting that interview back to us so promptly. I appreciate it.